So we're going to see a bunch of the MMA media content creators come out in the coming days talking about, yeah, this was a pretty legit move by Leon Edwards because Garry is a contender in that division. You can't really have him there catching the secrets of our training and all that type of stuff. And I don't buy it one bit. Yes, it is a possibility. Of course, you don't want someone who's a contender rolling on the mats with you every day, picking up secrets. But I think that Garry is a long way away from actually getting a title shot. I think the guy is beyond deluded, absolutely beyond deluded. I think the Vicente Luque fight might just be another walkover for him. What does that say about his opponents? Well, I guess they're being handpicked in terms of records that are current. Garry claims that weak-minded Leon Edwards had him kicked out of the gym. I'm not allowed to train there. And this is a very, very interesting one because straight away you jump to the Neil Magny fiasco. Across the board, the consensus was that this guy is extremely cringy, extremely screechy, and extremely annoying. Yes, he's talented. Yes, he's got good hands. But is that going to be enough to get him over the line? Because right now he's getting kicked out of gyms for what I believe is a disgusting and disgraceful attitude. And as I said, I'm sure you're going to have people that are going to come out and say this was a tactical move by Leon Edwards. And of course, Garry is such a big threat to that division. I haven't seen anybody talk about this so far online, and I don't believe many people are actually going to say the first thing that comes to their mind when they read this headline, especially giving the absolute disgracefulness of the interview itself. I'm not allowed to train there anymore. Let's go down here and read a little bit of this. Garry's success seemingly resulted in him being booted out of a gym in Birmingham, courtesy of the division's top dog, Leon Edwards, who also trains at the facility. Leon Edwards, his head coach, asked me not to come back to Renegade, Garry told The Independent. Told me I'm not allowed to train there. Leon and his head coach had an issue with me training on the mats recently. Have asked me not to train there because Leon doesn't want any insecurities or doubts on his mats within the gym, which I don't fully understand. I get that we're both top 10 and you might see me as a threat. Delusion. But I'm not a threat right now. I'm not fighting for titles right now, Garry continued. His coach said the words, Ian is a threat. I cannot have Leon having any doubts or insecurities. That makes me think someone is weak-minded and can't have another contender training on the mat. That's why gym conflict is annoying. For me, why not have another elite guy on the mat? Why not train with him? I mean, there's so many deluded points to pick at here in this. First of all, he said that his coach said the words, Ian is a threat. I don't know what the coach said. How else is he going to say it to another welterweight in the UFC who has this like soy vegan screechy voice screaming and shouting inside in the gym, probably on a daily basis, about how elite he is and how brilliant of a striker he is. I believe in this interview he talks about destroying Canelo. He talks about Colby Covington getting absolutely destroyed by Leon. The guy is pathetic. He has nothing. All he's ever done is lost. The guy's a joke. And when Leon eventually beats Colby, then he might be not next in line but might be on the radar. Then he goes on to say that makes me think someone is weak-minded and they can't have another contender training on the mat. So you're literally sitting back in this bubble of delusion saying that you're an elite striker, you're an elite fighter, you're a massive contender, and that Leon Edwards is weak-minded, but he's able to beat Colby Covington, no problem, and he just whooped Kamaru Usman twice. So if you're an elite fighter and he's weak-minded, where do you see yourselves on that totem pole of contender and where I should be? Now listen, of course it's normal for people to have confidence. Conor McGregor did it, he exemplified it better than anyone else in the game. You're not Conor McGregor. You will never be Conor McGregor. And of course, when you hear them words, if you ever come across this video from some dude in his kid's playroom, you'll probably sit there and go, who the hell are you? You've never done anything with your life. But the consensus within the MMA community is that you're making a fool of yourself every time you open the orifice at the front of your face. Every time you appear in front of a camera, people are cringing and face palming. And the most frustrating part about all this, and especially coming from someone like me who is Irish, I would have been behind you. I would have backed you all the way if you had kept your stupid mouth shut. But you didn't. You kept attacking people like Colby Covington, Neil Magny, Joaquin Buckley, all these fighters. And you can imagine so many other people were feeling the same because your trajectory was actually heading in the right way. You were very good in the octagon, got rocked a couple of times. I don't believe that you're as good as you think you are. I think you're a decent fighter, but you had the chance there to have the crowd behind you and you screwed it. You tried to take this kind of heel approach and it backfired. Now you're doubling down on it and making it worse. Now you're being escorted out of gyms and you're moaning about it in interviews. saying that the person was weak-minded and they weren't as strong as me, and that in 18 months time we'll be fighting each other for the title, and then we'll have that conversation. First of all, you've got to get through Vicente Luque. You beat him, you probably need one more fight against the UFC, but God knows what they'll do in terms of getting a title shot. I guess you're going to end up fighting the winner of the Wonderboy Shavkat one. I don't see how any of that goes well. And this is assuming that Colby Covington doesn't go in there in December and ragdoll Leon Edwards. Like, surely we're getting to the stage where Ian Garry has to start questioning these decisions, start questioning who's giving him advice, because clearly everything that he does now is backfiring. So let's flip the coin, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say Leon Edwards and his team are looking at Ian Garry and they're thinking, you know what? If this guy beats Vicente Luque and you beat Colby Covington, because he's so cringe and the UFC like to back that sort of cringiness, as we've seen with Israel Adesanya, Paddy Pimblett, because the UFC are headed into this kind of woke ideology and cringe fest, they might just give him a title shot, and Leon Edwards and his team might be just in saying, okay, we can't have you on the mats, man. According to Ian Garry, the words that insecurity was used and that Ian, you're a threat. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second. I don't believe it. I think it plays into the delusions that are going on inside this guy's mind. But would it not have been better to have taken this kind of interaction where it's like, okay, you know what? We are in the top 10 together and I might fight him in 18 months. Maybe I should just like move to another gym, train somewhere else, and just leave what happens in the gym and in sparring and in training inside the gym, and not run straight to the first interview that you got offered and start calling him weak-minded and saying that he's rambling off that you're a threat and I can't have you on the mats. And in the same interview start talking about how, give me 6 weeks and I will tear Canelo apart. It's so obvious that he's trying to be what Conor was in the beginning, and it will never ever happen again. Let's see how this unfolds in the coming days. Let's see how other MMA content creators talk about it, and let me make my prediction. They're all going to say what I said in the beginning. It makes sense, yeah, Leon doesn't want a contender on the mats. None of them are going to say that, yeah man, jeez. Can you imagine hearing that soy-filled vegan voice screeching all day, talking about herpes and beating Canelo on 6 weeks notice? Who is this guy? You're not going to hear any of them say that. None of them will reveal the truth. None of them will actually open up and be like, yeah man, I wouldn't like Ian Garry in my gym either. Picture like you'd have to wear some sort of ear mufflers every day just because of the screechy voice. Not for me. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see, can he do any more damage to his career by opening that mouth. We'll see if any of the MMA content creators or ex-fighters play devil's advocate and say, yeah man, this guy is very cringe and very annoying on the mats. Let me know your thoughts on why Leon Edwards and his team said it in the most polite way to Ian Garry, hey bud, fuck off out of the gym. Appreciate you. Cheers.